Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the north corner of the map, playing in red, playing with characters of a language I do not recognize, but I do know for sure it is Beastyqt playing as the Chinese. And his opponent in the southeast playing in blue, we have got Louis MT playing as the English. Welcome everyone to Rocky River. That's the map for today with two fantastic players, of course, two fantastic civilizations. And oh, that's going to be a lot of sheep potentially coming in for Beastie. Look at that. The two sheep there on that shoreline. In fact, another two more as well. Four. That's going to be a lot of sheep coming in for Beastie, which is important for the Chinese because they do like to get a lot of villages nice and early with the Song Dynasty. Potentially second town center. I say potentially because the Chinese have changed the way they play a lot. It has been the case that they often do opt for a second town center, but things have changed slightly with the English being a bit more aggressive, with the Abbey of the Kings being in play often as a landmark, with a king coming up, the English can be an option. And because of that, it does sometimes force the Chinese into a second town center, a little bit delayed. We shall see how this one pans out. Louis MT might just go for the tried and tested longbowman rush. Either way, hope you guys are having a great morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. And I'd like to say a very big thank you for everyone supporting the channel, whether that be on Twitch or YouTube. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Last few months have been absolutely fantastic in terms of growth, in terms of YouTube and Twitch. So thank you so much. It helps me continue to do what I love to do, which is cast Age of Empires 4. And I've had a bit of a change in strategy in the YouTube side of things. I have made sure that actually I don't upload every single video or every single game I cast actually anymore. Although to be fair, I haven't been doing that for a long time. But what I've been doing, I've been very selective. I only upload onto YouTube the very best games that I've casted, the games that I feel like you will enjoy. And that means that you can be assured that every video you do click on from my main YouTube channel for Age of Empires 4, it means that every video you click on is going to be a high quality game with something crazy happening, just an action-packed game, something fun about it. And that means you don't waste your time. That's the last thing I want to do, and I want to make sure that you guys enjoy the content on the channel. That's the best way to do it. Louis MT picking up a decent amount of more sheep on the way, which is certainly helpful. But of course, the English will be reliant a bit more on farms. What's kind of fascinating about this matchup... Oh, wait a minute. Hold the phone. We'll talk about that in a second, because it is going to be the Abbey of the Kings, so we're going to be expecting to see the English king out on the field very soon. Beastie going to be up against it, and wonder how he deals with this. Now, there's one option for the Chinese, in fact. They do often open up the Imperial Official or the Imperial Academy to get more Imperial Officials, but actually, going for the Barbican in the Sun can be a nice play against this, because the English, with the Abbey of the Kings and the king coming out quickly, you know, it does get across the field a lot quicker than, say, the Longbowman Rush, and therefore, this is a nice spot to defend, right? Gold, yeah, he's going to go for the Barbican Sun. Oh, maybe not. He changes his mind. No, he does go for it. A change of heart, and he does go for the Barbican Sun in the end. Going to be building with one villager, so the Song Dynasty won't be too far away. Now, what's kind of curious for the English is how do they address this, right? Because Song Dynasty is really nice to the Chinese. They're always going to be eking out a villager lead compared to the opponents. As long as the opponents stay one town center, the way that the English can address that is to try to go for a fast castle, put some pressure on that castle, maybe mop up some relics, maybe a second town center into fast castle. That's always an option too. I think generally a second town center is a good approach for this matchup for the English because of the fact that, well, the Song Dynasty is not a big hit in terms of economy, in terms of getting to the next stage, Castle Age. Bear in mind, the Imperial Official helps buffer that a little bit with the extra gathering. So I think the Song Dynasty is a no-brainer. Like, it doesn't stop the Castle Age timing significantly at all, if anything, really, I would have thought. But what it does do, it gives you a bit of a villager lead that obviously escalates over time. Now, the problem with countering that as the English, if you stay one town center yourself, you're always going to be behind in terms of village count. It's always going to be getting worse on that front. So you have to do damage. And considering the English will be facing up against a Chinese Castle Age time, which is not too terrible, it doesn't really feel like the English can get to the Castle Age that much quicker than the Chinese to really make it worth its while or pack a punch and do some damage. Bearing that in mind, it feels like the only really safe option is to go for either an all-in, like a king into Longbowman Rush all-in, which is obviously, you know, you either make it work or you don't, or you do exactly what Louis MT is doing and going for a second town center. Now, in terms of second town center placement, there was once an opportunity for players to put it on Deer Camp, but the Deer Camp on this map is pretty far away, and considering that there's only 2,500 HP on a second town center, and there's only 7 garrisonable spots, it feels like actually a more condensed economy as the English is a bit more of an approach that should be considered, especially considering if you do eventually go to the Imperial Age that actually you get the enclosures, so that can help you protect your gold income. Of course, you want more than one gold vein to be secured, but enclosures helps with that a little bit. And here comes out the king for Louis MT in all his glory, making his way across the map. Now the Chinese, looks like he's going to stay on one town side. Actually going to go for the Castle Age. Yeah, definitely play for the Castle Age. Look how many villages got on gold, 6 of them. And so interestingly enough, I mean, when you factor this in, the Song Dynasty, I mean, how much does it cost? It costs 400 food, 200 gold. So that's quick math, 600 resources. Bear in mind a second town center for the English is going to be what? It should be 400, 500, 600, 700, 750. So an extra 150 resources for a second town center effectively. I mean, it's not too shabby, right? Like, you're definitely going to be able to keep up with the Song Dynasty, but obviously the second town center goes a little bit later than the Song Dynasty does actually kick in, so the Chinese will build a little bit of a village elite, only slight, and then eventually the English will come in line in that regard. But the English king not been able to get that much damage at all because of the Barbican and Sun placement. It's actually what's really strong about the Chinese. We talk about the Jushi legacy and how strong they can be at times, but the Barbican and the Sun in a map like this, with everything condensed, is such a good approach. Look at this. The food, the gold, the stone, berries, everything is protected by this one landmark. And it means that this is not really getting too much value for Louis. I mean, ultimately, it's still a nice landmark because it is relevant to the later stages of the game. It gives you options that you would not otherwise have with the Council Hall, whereas you can always build more archery ranges to counteract not having the Council Hall. And the Chinese going to go for the Imperial examinations, going to be increasing the amount of gold carried by the Imperial officials by double, from 40 to 80. Scout getting hit a little bit, and looks like the English going to go for the boar. Interesting play. And I don't hate it, because he's always got the king to rely on to protect, and, you know, he's up against the Chinese that are being relatively passive, I guess. And I like this play, because obviously you can commit to a second town center this kind of far out, but if you do that and you lose a position, you've lost a town center. Here, if he does need to pull the villagers away, not a problem. He'll just lose the mill. And he's going to get wheelbarrow as well, so in case he does have to pull back, he'll be fine to do so. Either way, though, it doesn't really feel like he's going to have to do that anytime soon, or at least he's going to have to wait here, Beastyqt, to get some aggression with the Castle Age units coming out. And I wonder what he's going to put down after this. Is it going to be a stable? Yeah, it's going to be a stable. Makes a lot of sense for Lancers to get on the map, put some pressure on. Louis MT obviously a little bit further behind with that second town centre. But he will get to the Castle Age at a decentish time. I mean, you know, he's getting villagers on gold, pumping it out, and he's getting boar income, right? That's really important. And he's going to get an outpost as well to protect that location. Get the extra vision too, super important. But I like what Louis MT is doing, just always keeping his scout and his king in the front positions, just in case the aggression comes on in. And there is that Castle Age, with the astronomical clock tower for the Chinese. The English, however, I mean, they're not far off, right? Louis MT will get to the Castle Age at a decent time as well, with wheelbarrow coming on in, already in play for Beastyqt. Also has the gold mining upgrade, or the general mining upgrade. Specialized pick, which is actually kind of interesting to get it that early. We don't often see it, but Beastyqt believes in it and is going to be heading out with a Lancer on the field already. Which, of course, the English will be aware of, and King having to back away for now, doesn't want to get taken apart by that Castle Age Lancer too quickly. It's going to be the White Tower, understandably so, back at home with 7 villagers building it for Louis MT. Going for that sort of typical static defense play with the Castle Age landmark will give them a lot of protection against what can often be a Castle Age push from the Chinese with palace guards. So we do have to be wary of that. Now what this allows Louis MT to do is give that extra bit of protection to his base, but also we'll be able to consider getting some English farms in for that food economy to scale nicely to maybe work towards an Imperial Age. But the question is, how much does he commit to it? He's probably going to want to challenge for those relics, of course. Going to be diving in with those villagers here, Beastyqt, and Louis MT only keeping 7 villagers on the gold vein. It's going to be nice and safe and secure. Now, fighting underneath 2 town centers with the king involved is not ideal, despite more lancers coming in. Now, we're talking about palace guards, but of course it is going to be lancers opening here for Beastyqt. Villager having to run away here for Louis. And will he survive? He doesn't. He loses 1, which is a good pick off, but you know, to lose 2 lancers to this is a bit... But, oh, to be fair, he got a second villager as well, so maybe it is worth it now at this point. He will lose the king as well, which is actually a big pick off there. Louis MT just keeping his eye off the ball there for a moment. But he's not going to lose a 3rd villager, most likely it seems. Well, actually, Oh, that's going to be close. Oh, Aaron Garrison's smart. He ungarrisoned everyone and got the weaker villager back in, but he does lose another villager in the end, and Beastie just flooding at this point. He must have double stables by now, or at least a supervised stable. And it looks like it is a supervised single stable there. That's what the Chinese can do so well with that Castle Age, pump out units. But now with the White Tower and 2 town centers in the sandwich, I mean, I suspect... Oh, doesn't quite manage it. Almost got a 4th, but didn't quite manage it. And that's a lot of units to have thrown away, but it does keep up pressure. Did delay the tech up, and behind this, I wonder whether we'll see a monastery out for the Chinese. That's exactly what's happening. And he's supervising it as well, just to get those priests out nice and early. Try and get those relics in. But here comes the knights for the English. Bear in mind, the White Tower can produce units at double the speed, so that's pretty hefty. Oh, but isn't gold have to be garrisoned? This is a definite focus for Beastie to try and attack, right? He wants to starve the English away from gold, which makes a lot of sense, because you need the gold for the premium units. And, well, I mean, with the White Tower in range, it becomes very difficult, right? The charge coming in from the king, and whilst the gold will be idle for a short time, it's never really going to be fully taken with this number of units. But one relic in the grasp here for Beastie and the Chinese, bringing it on home. So it's definitely going to be a battle for the relics, which is definitely going to play an impact in the mid to late game. And double monastery, in fact, from Louis, so he's definitely wanted to get his lion's share of it. Obviously, he cannot supervise just like the Imperial official can for the Chinese. He's going to try and pump out on those scholars out, monks out quickly. Now, relic-wise, he actually grabbed, it looks like a relic on the other side of the map there, Beastie. So picking up the one in the middle as well. That's a big pick-off. If you can get those 2 relics in the bag, well, that's a good start already. Going to come around the right side, but the White Tower and town centre. I mean, the White Tower is what's really going to do the damage. 2 lancers charge on in. Might get 1 villager out of this. Does indeed, and then tries to ride out. But I don't think he even escaped. Actually, he might be able to escape this. Oh, only survives with 4 HP. There's a second town centre now. So yeah, Beastie trying to match like for like in terms of town centres. But of course with the Song Dynasty, his economy will start to scale. Louis MD's kept up with that, with the second town centre. Double barracks. So it looks like it is going to be Lancer, Palace Guards rather play. Charging in though with the Castle Age units. Going to try and snipe out the monk. Just about garrison inside. It does get away with it in the end. So keeps it alive there, Beastie. Charges on in. Oh, I think he might be able to get away with this. Louis, ooh, just on 5 HP. Yeah, he does. 3 HP. In fact, 1 HP. Wait, that's super close. Holy moly. But the great thing now is going to be healing on up, right, with the king. Head back home to the kings. This is where this landmark really comes to the front, right? With the micro, keeping the weak villagers, weak units at home, bringing them back to heal on up, to re-enter the fight is super important. And you can see the farming transition start to pop out now for Louis MT. Beastie, on the other hand, going to be walling up, and 2 gold veins are going to be secured behind these walls, and also a really nice area to farm in. I think this is going to be, I mean, it could potentially go around here on the back. This could be a nice potential area to farm. Set up those granaries that the Chinese love to do. And Chinese now committing to some spearmen, just to challenge the knight numbers that are popping out for Louis. So rather than palace guards, it was actually spearmen from the barracks. Now what this does allow Louis now to do with that map control with the units, the cavalry units, it's going to be starting to farm back at home. And once that does get online, the food income's going to be rocking and rolling. You can see adding more and more farms. Itching towards that Imperial Age, actually. I think Louis MT, you know, he's producing units, but ultimately he hasn't actually made a single production building. Bear that in mind. He's actually just producing from the White Tower. That's actually kind of cool, because it means his wood income is already been spent on farms, and that's going to be eking his way to the Imperial Age. This is definitely a play into the Imperial Age, right? You can feel it. And it's going to be with the Berkshire Palace. And interesting enough, he's got 2 of the relics already in the bank. Third one has already been picked up as well. So Louis MT going to get the lion's share of those relics. 3-2. Meanwhile, Beastie can try and neutralize some of that gold effect from the 2 sacred sites. Oh, that wasn't walled up in the end. There's a bit of a gap. I mean, whether he can get much damage into it, I'm not so sure. Yeah, it's getting pushed away by the spearmen, so he's got enough to defend this Beastie. Oh, he gets a charge on the villager. Doesn't quite kill it though in the end, and they do have the monks healing on up that villager. But it's going to keep the constant pressure, and this allows... This is smart. What this allows Louis MT to do is get to that Imperial Age. And the kind of crazy situation about this, by the way, is that if it's any other civilization, it doesn't necessarily work as well. So what's probably going to happen is Louis MT is going to itch towards that Imperial Age. That's going to invite pressure from Beastie. Maybe put some... Because like he should have more units. And so Beastie might try and push, but what is he pushing into? He's pushing into an English defense. And let me say, it's hard defense to push into, that's for sure, with the extra arrow slits, the White Tower, the Berkshire Palace, 2 town centers, condensed economy, with gold kind of secured with the enclosures when it does come in. It does have this gold vein to take as well, 4,000 gold vein. It's going to run out of his main one, so he's got to be careful about it. It does have enough gold just about. You can see the calculations involved here, right? Wow, this is actually incredible. This is actually incredible. How many knights did he make? That's a really good, important question. Like, if you're watching this on YouTube later, if you can try and count how many knights he had made, because he's calculated absolutely perfect. I guess he made some monks as well, which cost gold, but he took 1 gold vein. That 1 gold vein took him all the way to the Imperial Age. Like, that is calculated. That's incredible, the way he's worked that out. So he's all, because all he's made is knights, right? So he made just pure knights and a couple of monks, and that's it. And the king. Now, with all that combined, he's had enough gold from that single gold vein to get to the Castle Age. And then to the Imperial Age. Pretty nifty. I mean, is that right, actually? Did he have a second gold vein? I feel like that's not enough gold, is it? Surely that's not enough gold. I must be missing something. Maybe it is. I guess it is 4,000 gold in the end. Kind of crazy to think about though, right? Because it's pretty expensive. Like 600 gold to get to the Castle Age, and then 1,200 to get to the Imperial Age. That's 1,800 already. That's one... So then there's another 2,200 gold he spent, effectively, on knights and monks. I'm sure there's some mathematicians in the comment section below. We'll work out how many knights or monks you can get from that split. 2,200 gold. Be nice to know. Right, well, knights are being chased away. Louis MT backing off home. The new age begins for Louis. There is that Imperial Age with the Berkshire Palace. Going to give him a lot of protection now. A lot of our civilizations would go to the Imperial Age. That's the time to be aggressive as the opponent. But it feels a bit tricky, though, for Beastie to do that, because he's behind walls here, Louis, but not only that, he's got, you know, good static defenses. All that knight might be blocked. Oh, he didn't quite manage to get the block in and does retreat back home. Now, gold is going to be an issue. Like, of course, you've got enclosures, which definitely helps. But he's definitely going to want to secure these 2 gold veins if he can. Perhaps a keep. This is 8,000 tile of gold. Definitely don't want to give that up easy. Or you don't want to give up easily at the 2 Nester Bees. He's diving on it with the king. King is going to be careful. Ooh, just about escapes there with 26 HP. He needs to ride on out. There's a lot of weak knights. So Louis MT probably does have to back away home now. Going around the right side, but I mean, he's charging on in. But certainly, Louis now is actually on stone, so I suspect it's going to be a keep eventually. 3 villagers on stone, so slowly getting there. But look at that farming transition from Beastie. That's a heck of a lot of farms. Possibly going for a keep of his own. Look at that. Stone outcropping is being supervised to get the maximum benefit from that. Managed to sneakily get the Sacred Site on the west side. Lancers riding around on the east side. There's the Berkshire Palace. Ooh, picking off 2 Lancers there, I think it was in the end. And going to get an outpost in the forward position just to extend the network of castles bonus, but also extra vision. This is actually glaringly open. You gotta be careful about that, Louis. Not to see a massive units heading that way, but having said that, it's mostly infantry and 2 Nester Bees. All Man-at-Arms with the Armored Clad upgrade are in. Gonna get the Elite upgrade as well coming on soon. Doesn't want to fight just yet before that upgrade comes on in. The Berkshire Palace just picking away at a couple of those spearmen. Now behind this, it is a decent economy for Beastie, but ultimately he's an age behind, right? So he's trying to take a fight, but he's going to have a massive dump of resources into the Imperial Age himself, and so the amount of pressure he can really put on the map is not a lot. But I do like the fact he's getting a lot of stone, because he recognizes that there's going to be pushback, right? So with Louis now with a tech-up advantage, Beastie struggling to do any damage. When Beastie does eventually think about going to the Imperial Age, he is going to be pressurized. And he's not going to have that many units, but what he will what looks like he's going to have is a lot of keeps by judging how much stone he's got collected. And he's going to go for a forward keep. That could be an option. It's a tricky one. It makes a lot of sense, but yeah, but the decision between going for a forward keep and a defensive keep is a really interesting one. So going for a forward one, as long as you can protect it, it's good. But the trouble is you're up against English who are going to be in the Imperial Age, so bombards are a thing. If you place it defensively, it invites pressure, but it forces trebuchets or bombards to make their way across the map. It's a bit easier to defend that. A forward keep will give him some more time, potentially, if it, you know, forces LuMT to address it, if he can't walk around it. But another thing to do back at home is the Great Wall Gatehouse, as he is doing. That would be a nice static defense for sure. So maybe it would be a forward keep, or maybe a secondary defensive structure for Beasty to defend with. The trouble for Beasty is he's trickled in a couple of palace guards, which are all going to get cleaned out, and like the numbers are really in favour of LuMT, and these are Imperial Age units versus Castle Age units, so it's going to be a bit of a slaughter. Fortunately, the palace guards won't favour particularly well in that fight, and that's a lot of gold to be spent for that. Alright, 3 sacred sites being captured now as we speak. Getting a keep on the middle resources. Some good amount of stone and gold in the middle. Palace guards around the back, but again, they're being whittled down in numbers for sure. King getting involved on the right side, but the king might go down here. There's a lot of spearmen. And the Man-at-Arms going to have to try and do the most of it they can. Be tricky, although there's Man-at-Arms are coming from the west side. Should take that out actually in the end, and yeah, Beasty will get cleaned up. King gets helped pretty heavily. Palace guards making their way down the southwestern direction, but running into a group of Man-at-Arms, and this is the thing, like, every little engagement that's been happening, Beasty just hasn't been able to take an upper advantage on that. LuMT just taking small engagement here and there. Overall, it just accumulates and it picks up, and although, to be fair, these palace guards might take this fight. They need to wait for the elite upgrade. There it is. But with armored clad, I mean, it's a lot of armor on these guys. 7 melee armor versus just the 5. Does have a little bit of extra HP, of course, but with the numbers here, Beasty not wanting to take that fight. Down the middle, Nesta B is working on the king, and more Man-at-Arms being pushed on forward, but it's kind of an interesting approach here that Beasty's gone for Palace Guards versus the Man-at-Arms. Palace Guards are indeed a little bit faster, but in a straight up fight, the Man-at-Arms in equal numbers should win. He's being chased away. I think he turns around and fights that, and there's no reason for LuMT not to fight that, and he does exactly that. King going to be charging in too. And the big thing for Louis, yeah, he's taking really good engagements, and all of a sudden, Beasty is back against the wall. In terms of at least map presence, or on the right side. I love the fact that Beasty's starting to wall up with the stone. Like, this is kind of interesting to think about though. Like, Beasty's forcing the late game. And Chinese do have a super effective late game. I think a lot of it will revolve around the Chinese hand cannoneer with the extra range. Trouble is he has to get there. It's an expensive unit. And the pressure coming out for LuMT at the moment is incredible. With 62 military. Bear in mind, Song Dynasty 2-town center. It's got a greater economy here, the Chinese, in terms of raw villager numbers, but it takes time to feed into military. You can see that lag already. 40 to 62. Bear in mind the destruction value. Look at that destruction value for LuMT. 8,000. Almost double. And that comes as a result of just taking better fights in small pocket areas. But that might start to change, because look at this. It looks a bit more of a coordinated effort now down the middle, or down the west side for the Chinese, with plenty of Nesta Bs and Palace Guards. The concern I have is that the Palace Guards, I'm not so sure how much of a meteor they are. They're going to have to rely on the Nesta Bs in the great amount of work. It looks like LuMT might take a fight here. He's grouping up together. Wait, the Nesta Bs are unprotected. The Palace Guards are... Wait, you might get a charge on this. Oh no, this is bad for Beasty. He's coming around the back. Palace Guards, they're not getting the memo. And the Man-at-Arms trying to get around on them. He will get one, possibly a second there, but he's managed to sandwich them in between the Palace Guards, so not all is lost here by any means. He is fighting underneath the keep, but I think maybe Beasty might win. But look at this, a couple of mans down the west side, peeled away for LuMT. We'll get another one of the Nesta Bs. Will he actually? I'm not so sure. He might not. He doesn't. That's big. That's big. Does survive with 4 Nesta Bs, but another group of mans are coming on the east side, and this time... Oh no, the Palace Guards, they've moved away. They've moved away, and oh no, after that whole fight, 5 Man-at-Arms gonna take away 4 Nesta Bs. That's absolutely... Wait, Louis? Yeah, there we go. Goes for it, but around the back, Man-at-Arms being chucked away for LuMT, but keeping Palace Guards at home. And he's raiding as much as he can. But around the west side, Palace Guards, whilst they did abandon their posts in terms of the Nesta Bs, they have forced villagers away from that gold vein, quite a lot of them. And it means that gold is going to be a bit of an issue for LuMT in the long term, but bear in mind he's got enclosures, right? That tides him over. There is an 8,000 gold vein. That's such a great keep as well. This is all he needs, really. This 8,000 tile gold vein For the next 10 minutes, he'll be absolutely fine. Getting us surrounded with the Manitans versus the Palace Guards. I think this is a fight that Louis MT wins, and when he does, that's a big peel-off. That's a lot of Palace Guards, although he's backing away. He's thinking better of it. He wants to wait for a more effective fight, understandably so. Decent numbers for Palace Guards. But here come the reinforcements, and he's trapped. This is the big deal. He's trapped and he's being raided at home with man-at-arms. And yep, Louis is going to get another good fight out of this. And there's not too much that Beastyqt can do and run away from this situation, really. Sure, they got the faster movement speed, but he is blocked in and is going to need some reinforcements to try and bail him out. Stone walls, the Great Wall of China, indeed. It's on the map. Beastyqt getting the Great Wall of China in real life. Well, on Rocky River, at least. It's a good imitation of it. Man-at-arms on the gold vein. I mean, he's going to try and get as much value as he can, Beastyqt, but not really going to be able to do too much there. And he dies underneath the keep, and that manages to reset things a little bit for Louis. With 3 relics on the enclosures, there's going to be a lot of gold coming on in. Let's take a look at gold situation. Does still have another 8,000 gold vein to take here, Beastyqt. But he's absorbing the ones on the middle of the map, and I like that, actually, because he's denying it from his opponent. This is really smart. He will be able to allow taxation with the Imperial officials, but of course enclosures feels a little bit better for the English, because once this gold does run out, what it does, it kind of forces the English into a bit of a steamroll effect, or gives them ability to anyway. They start to place down more farms, and farms equals both food and gold for the English in this stage of the game. Palace Guards go on the right side trying to raid a little bit, but Louis keeping the villages alive, keeping them active, moving them away. Both players are population capped effectively at this point. But this is kind of weird, like how it's devolved into essentially man-at-arms versus Palace. But this is another good fight here for Louis. Just going to pick a couple off. Ooh, villagers shooting with their bows. Are they carrying the logs as well? That's interesting. That's kind of funny. But yeah, these Palace Guards are going to rip through a couple of villagers, but ultimately it doesn't really matter too much at this stage. As long as he's not losing it continuously, and that's going to be a good surround. Of course, Louis MT will clear that up. Beastyqt moving around the west side. But with man-at-arms versus Palace Guards, I don't think that's a composition for the Chinese that win the late game. I think it's got to be hand cannoneers is going to be opting for. There's got to be. Such a strong unit for the Chinese. Palace Guards might start to overswarm this position. Try to break through with the ram and man-at-arms at Louis. Trying to break things open. Give him a bit of an angle of attack, and doesn't end up getting the palisade walls on the right side once again. Decapping the sacred site on the west side. Going out to stone once again. So Beastyqt's Great Wall of China has been breached, but not for long, because those man-at-arms that were responsible for it end up perishing, and yeah, Beastyqt moves on on the west side. This is definitely a focus. Of course, there's 2 gold veins here, but this keep in a really strong position to defend that. Almost 30 minutes on the clock, and it's a great game of Age of Empires 4 right now. He's going to slowly burn his way through, and he's got the cannon in place, but look how much damage it does in terms of splash damage. So Palace Guard's going to try and torch this down. I'm not so sure about that. It has boiling on as well. Does go in spread formation, which helps a little bit, but villagers garrisoning the side. Oh, I love that attention to detail. Like, he's got all the garrisonable space he needs, and the worst thing I mean, to be fair though, the Palace Guards might actually break through that. We'll come back on that in just a moment. Man-at-arms taking a fight here. Good fight for Louis there. Right side trying to break his way through, but this is where the action is going to be for the next couple of seconds. The keep might go down. The villagers should come out to repair, I think, any moment. No, maybe not. Louis is just going to give this position up. Oh, okay, he gives it up. I mean, understandably so, they would have been hacked and slashed anyway, but it's going to go around the other side of the palisades and buy some time. But ultimately, he's pushed off of gold in a big way, but talk about gold. He's been pushed on the right side, so Louis says, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it too. And he's going to burn through the keep eventually, but he's also got a bombard, so bear that in mind. He might have just to take the man-at-arms away, although the addition of the bombard is just going to burn through it very quickly. Another volley should do it. There we go. Down she goes. Oh, I love that touch there for Louis, just making sure that Beastyqt stays open on the west side. Oh, okay, taking a fight now. This is possibly this is a good fight for Beastyqt. Numbers-wise, at least. I think it's the first time in a while that actually we've seen a good trade for Beastyqt. Oh, villagers trying to get some stone here on the west side. Won't manage it. I mean, these are a lot of dead villagers for Louis. This is kind of interesting because that's a lot of dead economy, and that's going to hurt Louis quite significantly. But one thing to bear in mind, look at the bank of resources. There's a lot of food, a lot of gold for Louis. I'm not so sure he replaces these villagers, because what this could do is could give him some momentum to produce more military and start to overswarm. Look at that, 75 military versus 55 already. And what is going on here? Trying to get some military units here as much as you can. Just be a pain in the ass as much as you can with those villagers. Keep going on the west side just to make sure that trade stays like a possible option for him. Now he's pushing down the right side, but look at the 81 military. It's such a weird situation, right? You think sometimes killing villagers is a good thing, but almost in an essence here for Beastyqt, it's not. Like, he's made more population space for Louis MT. 200 population of, 81 man-at-arms. And it looks like this is the only unit Louis MT wants to make today. I don't blame him in a way. Bombard on the right side. Oh, Bombard might be caught by a couple of palace guards. On the west side, oh, man-at-arms flooding on in, and there's not a lot here protecting these villagers. Beastyqt needs to run over with those villagers on the right side. Bombard, will it stay alive? I mean, it might just about. Villagers repairing it. Yeah, man-at-arms are a little bit slower on their feet, of course. I think the man-at-arms should be able to save it. It's going to be close or no. I think the Bombard just about goes down. Just about goes down, it does. But again, it should be a good fight there for Louis, I think, in overall things concerned. Because he's fighting with half of his units at Beastyqt, and that's not ideal. Because once these villagers, these palace guards, rather, do start to fight, I mean, it would have been a better fight, but I think Beastyqt might start to overrun this position. He's got good numbers on the west side. He's fighting. Villagers pulled away. But the big thing, the big detail is that Louis has a really strong military presence on the map on the west side and the east side of it. As long as he clears this up, if he doesn't clear it up, it's kind of a problem. He definitely will want to, and I think he might just about. A couple of Springles getting involved around the back. There we go. Man-at-arms. This is definitely going to be the ceiling of this little battle. The man-at-arms coming in from the west side here. It was going to be close for a moment with Beastyqt possibly winning that fight until these man-at-arms reinforcements came along in, and that's what's happened. Man-at-arms will chase that down, and not too much of a position-winning move that for Beastyqt. Oh, hand cannoneers are out. This is what we expected to see for Beastyqt in the late game. We are seeing it. Rams coming out the west side. Did the barracks get made in the end? No, it got destroyed. Down in the middle, Beastyqt struggling to make too much of an inroad, but look at that, 71 military, and I think this is the crazy thing about the economy for the English, it's very population efficient. And I think generally the issue about enclosures is not so much the fact that it gives you gold, which is obviously nice. It's not going to be enough to sustain a full Imperial Age army. What it does do, it gives you a little population back. It gives you a population advantage, a bit of efficiency, because of course the villagers are working on food and gold. It means that there's more population space for military, and I think we're going to see the effect of that very, very shortly. Villagers coming out to burn down the rams, but I mean, the Ram's going to start to make some work of this. Not enough man-at-arms on the west side, but this is a distraction. This is the main event. This is where things are happening for Louis on the right side. That's a lot of units, and if you can get a bombard or two, that'd be helpful for sure. There it is. There's one bombard. And eventually these two Rams will be taken. And he's making a push down the middle. A bit of a trade here. Look at that. Forward keep coming off Beastyqt. He wants to put a bit of pressure on with two bombards. Going to look to take down that outpost. And is this going to be a bit of a swap? I mean, oh, this is a big pick off. It doesn't seem like a lot, like it's just production buildings, but ultimately these have to be rebuilt. And whilst he does have a lot of wood in the bank, Beastyqt, he's going to have to invest villager time onto that, and it takes time to get this back up and running. And I love this play, by the way, because he's going for the archery ranges, which is essentially what I feel is the key unit for the Chinese. The hand cannoneers is what he needs. They keep struggling to go up. I mean, the thing is, there's a bombard there, right? And Beastyqt recognizes it now, tries to take it down the palace guards. He will take it down, but that once it does go up, it's going to be half damaged anyway. All man-at-arms on that gold vein. That's an issue. He's going to be running out of gold soon on this gold vein on the east side. 4,000 still left on it. But look at the mass raiding. That's a lot of villagers being idled. And whilst he does have a good bank of resources, Beastyqt can't allow this to happen indefinitely. He's going to have to deal with this. Down the middle, keep it up. And it's being repaired as we speak, but look at that, two bombards running on in. Man-at-arms going to charge that down and potentially take him out. I think he's going to go for the Nest of Bees first, which I don't hate, actually. Makes a lot of sense to go for the Nest of Bees. Actually adding some hand cannoneers of his own. I mean, he's taken out two Nest of Bees as well already. Possibly going to get a third. Villagers coming out to repair on the bombard. Didn't manage to save the Nest of Bees in the end, but keep boiling oil, certainly helpful. Defender's advantage will help in this situation, but look at that. Mass raiding around the back, and that's forced Beastyqt to channel his war efforts around the back. All these archer ranges have been taken down, so there's going to be no more hand cannoneers, at least until those are replaced. Which will be tricky, and the keep forward position will be taken down now. Man-at-arms and hand cannoneers on that case. Look at the food bank. I mean, this raid has done a lot, by the way. This raid of man-at-arms, look at the food bank. It's just not there for Beasty. He's been way too off of farms for so long, and man-at-arms just blocked in the palace guards from getting on top of the siege. They're going to get on top of it anyway. Looks like they're going to take out one Springald. Surprising to see he went for the Springald rather than the Bombard, but he did take it in the end. But look at the man-at-arms numbers looking decent. Like, there's 66 military for the English, 58 for the Chinese, but it feels like it's all concentrated for the English. Well, as I say that, they're grouping up together now, coming in with the right side. Those palace guards moving on in with 2 Nestabis, and this is going to be a great fight for Beasty, I think. I think he wins this in a big way, and that means Louis MT has to reset. But look at the population count, 155 for Beasty. He's dropped down in villagers so much. A massive man-at-arms raid with villagers was absolutely massive, and it's hurt his economy in a big way. Now, he will lose everything here, Louis. But he's going to take down as much as he possibly can and regroup. Wait, did he just... Okay, it was the Bombards that took it down. I thought for a second maybe Beasty deleted that, but no, it must have been deleted by the Bombards. He's pulling away a group of man-at-arms on the west side. Just luring a couple of palace guards that way. Yeah, it's grouping up together, extending the network of castles bonus slowly but surely with hand cannoneers on top of the walls. It's going to get some good damage, but look at the range from these hand cannoneers. Absolutely phenomenal. 5.5 versus the 5. Wait, the 6? Hang on a minute. Does he... Oh, he may not have the upgrades. I think that's what it is. Yeah, 6 tiles range on those. Neutralizing the sacred side, but the big push coming in here for Louis MT down the middle. Straight down the middle. Running out of stone on the west side. And almost running out of gold. This is where it becomes a bit tricky. Map positioning is such that Louis will have 800 gold to play around with on the right side. It does still have his 8,000 gold vein, but only 500 still left on that. And this is a decent amount of gold still left there for the Chinese, but yeah, gold's certainly going to become an issue, and there's 2 ways around this. Well, I guess there's 2 ways for the Chinese and the English, to be fair, actually, considering it. There's taxation and trade for the Chinese. And of course, there's enclosures and trade for the English, potentially. We shall see if anyone decides to actually go for that. I don't think it's really quite time for the trade. Wait, what are these guys up to? That's a lot of villagers, by the way. That is 19 villagers trying to get hold of this gold vein, I think, but there's nothing left in there. That's a lot of villagers to sacrifice. Both players still on 100 villagers. But bear in mind, Louis MT's bank of resources is really what's helping him win key areas. But that's a lot of bombard, that's a lot of siege. Looks like siege might be on the menu. BC's going to have to find a way to deal with that. It's a tough ask. Group of units on the west side need to back away for Beasty. Wait, wood? He's going for wood? Is he struggling on wood? Oh, it's trade, right? He's just trying to make sure that his opponent's not trading. Understandably so, but he's going to lose a lot of villagers here. Oh, that's a throwaway. Although he hasn't A-clicked it, Louis, so... Okay, they stopped there now, so they will take them out. And we talked about earlier in the game, if you're going to have a good bank of resources, you can then use that population space into military, but I don't think the food account is that great for Beasty. It gets chewed up very quickly by a hand cannoneer. They're not the cheapest unit to make, and... I think... oh, here are the archer rangers. They've been replaced on the east side for Beasty. Makes a lot of sense, right? Because he needs them. 120 food, 120 gold. They are not cheap units. What I would say, though, is that Beasty has a lot of gold bank up. A lot of gold. Taking the fight down the middle. Losing a lot of army. Trickling some more palace guards. Trying to get a bit of a raid on. And he might get a decent raid, but the thing about raiding the English is that it's tough, right? With extra arrow slits in place, and sure, it doesn't make as much of a difference in the Imperial Age because his units are super tanky. And every little bit helps. He's forcing the English back home to deal with this, though, and that does give Beasty a little bit of breathing space, a little bit of time for the economy to get back up to speed and the bank of food to accumulate once again. But it just feels like the hand cannoneer numbers are looking a lot solid, and they're doing a lot of damage back at home. To be fair, Chinese do have 25 somewhere. Don't quite know where they are. There they are. All grouped up together. That's a lot. Wait a minute. That's a lot of Nesta bees. Guys, holy smokes. That's a lot of Nesta bees. 11 Nesta bees. And considering you're going up against a full kind of infantry-based army, it's a tricky situation for the English to deal with. He's got mangonels of his own, to be fair. Man-at-arms, though, I've got to say, they're pretty tanky. So, and the number of bombards, if the bombards can get on top of those Nesta Bees, that's going to be huge. I think this is the issue about bombards. They're so good at dealing with structures, of course, but they're a decent anti-siege unit as well. Obviously not quite as good as a Culverin, but they can do a job against Nesta Bees. One palace guard chipping away at the villagers, and I actually don't think Louis MT minds that too much. He's got a good bank of resources. He's grouping up a push in the middle. He's got siege, which is the critical thing, because at this point, with the siege staying alive, as long as it stays alive, it means they can just pump out units. Here's the fight, though. Nesta Bees takes out 2 bombards in a blink of an eye. Palace guards running on in. Man-at-arms tanking that front line with hand cannoneers behind them with the network of castles, bonus villagers on the outpost. Didn't quite make it building that up, and bombards need to get involved. The bombers need to take out the Nesta Bees. He's taking that one. He's got a couple of springles now, which definitely help in this fight. He's going to lose a couple. I think this is okay for Louis MT. I really do, because there's mostly hand cannoneers, which take some time to take care of the siege, and he's taken out the basic majority of... He's taken out all the Nesta Bees. That's critical. Now that without the siege push from Beastie, it's going to be hard to push on further, and look at that, replacement units coming on out. There's mangonels hiding in the stealth forest as well. 71 military to 53, and look at that. He's losing villagers. He's down to 78 villagers. And that is a death push waiting to happen. 10,000 food, 3,000 gold. I wonder if Louis MT just deletes villagers. It could be a play. It could really very well be a play. Palace guards being sent to their deaths. The rally point, not really helpful for him there. Moving around the east side with palace guards. The trouble is that, you know, Beastie's struggling to deal with this army, right? He recognizes he can't brute force his way through it, so he's trying to get a bit of a raid on the right side. Because this is looking rough. It doesn't feel like he's got enough to do with this. This push is going on uncontested, and he's got palace guards on the right to do some damage, but he's trying to do some damage, but he's got to deal with this eventually. One way or another. And Beastie, he's losing a lot of villagers on wood. Trying to get a raid and trying to force the English back a little bit, but is there an army that can defeat this? I'm not so sure there. Beastie, he's under all sorts of pressure. God, that's a lot of man-at-arms. 68 of them. 81 military units, and I mean, palace guards are going to get killed on these villagers, but it feels like the game might be over in the next 5-10 minutes, because when the villagers do go down, it's going to leave even more population space for army to come out, and this army is already as big as it is. It's just going to get bigger. And sure, palace guards are going to run riot, but he's got a bit of a leeway in terms of banked up resources. And I wonder if the rally point for the man-at-arms that are being made are at home. Yeah, they will slowly take care of this eventually. One palace guard hacking away at villagers. He's going to try and shoot it down. Can't really though, can he? But that's such a big death ball of army. Man-at-arms, hand cannoneers for the English. He's pushing on heavy forward with decent number of bombards. 4 of them. Plenty of springles. There's just so much siege here. It's almost impossible to deal with. Can Beastie find a way? And palace guards coming around the west side, down to 66 villagers, but it probably doesn't matter. And whilst Beastie's killing so much in terms of economy, it feels like the English are just not running out of steam at this point. With the Barbican going down, the infrastructure going down, that just leaves a couple of more landmarks around the back. Oh, this could be the final push. Palace guards diving on in, but there are mangonels mixed in there for things. Coming in from the east side as well, Beastie trying to get a surround on it. This may be the way to deal with this, but he doesn't feel like he's got enough. Man-at-arms working on this heavily. On that front line, palace guards trying to get on top of the siege. We'll get on top of the siege on the west side. Might lose a couple of bombards. Hand cannoneer numbers pretty dwindling here for the Chinese. Villagers soaking up some of the fight as well, to be fair. But a massive mosh pit in the fight in the middle. Palace guard numbers looking decent. Mangonel's still alive. But it feels like this is just one way for the English. Once he does lose the army here, I wonder whether he'll have another group coming in. And I mean, the thing is that the Chinese are focusing on the siege. It means that the man-at-arms are getting so much damage out of this. Whilst a lot of the siege will go down, I'm not so sure all of it will. Mangonel's still firing off, and here comes another group of man-at-arms from the south. They're going to win that fight. They're going to win it in a big way. Palace guards having to retreat, and that's not the sign you want to see if you're the Chinese for Beastyqt, and he's trading. He's trading behind this, but I don't think he's going to survive too much longer. Look at that. 108 military versus 26. Louis MT pumping everything into military at this point. 55 villagers, and everything else into man-at-arms. Everything is tumbling forward. Look at that stream of man-at-arms units. Beastie, he's down to 28 military, and it's just going to be a really hard hold here for Beastie. He's got to find a way. Another group of army coming on the east side. The walls have been breached. The Great Wall of China has fallen, and Beastie's palisade walls behind them have fallen down too. All that remains is a final keep, I think. And then the landmarks. With 120 military. Beastie is going to need a miracle. He's hanging on for now. Just to have the Great Wall Gatehouse protecting the farms, but ultimately with this number of units, Beastie has no way back into this game, you feel. Down to 500 food. Oh, does have a nest of bees. Just one, though. That's not going to be a problem with this number of man-at-arms, and slowly but surely, there is a bombard working on the infrastructure. They keep about to go down soon. Extending the network of castles bonus, so Louis MT not letting up on that. Keeps extending it, making sure that he doesn't give it any inch of the ground away for this victory. And it's got a mixture of the man-at-arms and hand cannoneers. And trade is not going to save Beastie now, but here comes one last hurrah potentially. With a couple of Nesta Bees and Palace Cars, Beastie saved up some units. It's going to take one big fight. Maybe trying to get a flank around the right side. Loses the keep. He's lost the Barbican. And he's diving on in. But there's even a Mangonel involved there for the English and the Palace Cars with their last hold there for Beastie coming on in with 2 Nesta Bees as well. But that won't be enough, ladies and gentlemen. Beastie taps out Louis MT with the English King. Reigns supreme on Rocky River. I hope you guys enjoyed this castle game on YouTube. And if you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care and see you next time.